Hey everybody. So, it's been a minute. My bad. If you're wondering why the background of this video is deeply unaesthetic, it's because I'm in the process of moving right now. I'm actually relocating to Chicago in a week and a half. So unfortunately, the first few minutes of this video are not going to be particularly aesthetic, but they will be quality. And I think we're gonna have some really great conversations today. Why did I wanna make this corny video where I'm taking myself out on a date? I think there are a couple reasons. One, I love watching videos like this. But apart from that, on a more personal level, I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm really craving like a relationship and craving something a little bit more like stable. And sort of in my pursuit of a relationship, I think sometimes I forget that the most important relationship that I have ever had and will ever have is with myself. And I don't spend enough time just pouring into myself. I can't tell you the last time I went out alone. I'm always with other people. I would never like go to the museum by myself. I feel like this is a good opportunity for me to just kind of reflect a bit on like my own life and where I'm at with dating, but also just like generally what's going on in this like hectic cranium atop my body. I don't know, that's a weird way to say that, but you know what I'm trying to say. So for any type of date, right, I want to get cute. So I already put on a little outfit. Let me show you. I had to run to the store earlier to get more SD cards because all of mine were full. So I got kind of sweaty. I have like really intense stains going on right now. So if I was going on a real date with another person, I should say, I would not be wearing this shirt, but I don't want to take it off and have to do more laundry for myself. That is really just the pinnacle of adulthood. Very basic, just wearing these little high-waisted blue shorts and the shirt that says baby girl on it. And now we're gonna do a little bit of makeup. You know, I had a conversation with my therapist recently about self-care. And I feel like a lot of the ways that we come to understand self-care is through a very capitalist lens. Like you have to go out and buy a hand mask and a face mask and feet masks and all this sort of beauty stuff. And that self-care only looks like taking care of what you look like on the outside. And I think that sort of comes at the expense of taking care of your internal world and looking inwards. So I was talking about this with my therapist and how I feel really selfish when I take care of myself sometimes because I feel like I should be using that time to work or to study or create more opportunities for myself. Basically, I feel like I should be using that time to turn the wheels of capitalism. And she said something really profound to me. She said our ancestors didn't necessarily have the privilege of leisure. They didn't necessarily have the privilege to take care of themselves in all the ways that they wanted to and needed to. So self-care isn't even necessarily just about me, it's also about my ancestors and having the extreme privilege to take care of myself because of all the sacrifices that they made to even get us and me to this point. And so in that regard, it is like profoundly anti-Black to not take care of yourself. There's so much behind this word self-care that has been capitalized on for really the beauty industry, but there's a lot more to it. So this is like me taking myself on a date, but I also do see it as kind of like a radical thing. This is me taking care of myself today. This is me spending time with myself intentionally today in a way that I don't normally do. One thing that I do feel very strongly about is I want to show up as my best self in whatever relationship I have in my life. So whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or, a familial relationship, I want to constantly be working to become the best version of myself so that I do the most good and cause the least harm possible. Because inevitably in any kind of relationship, there will be misunderstandings, there will be, miscommunications, people will get their feelings hurt. That's kind of just what it means to be in community with people. But I think a lot of that can and should be mitigated if we're all willing to, well, one, give grace to other people, and secondly, always work to become the best versions of ourselves. And for me, over the last few months, that's really looked like going to therapy every week, having my Buddhist practice be really central to my life, doing yoga every single day because it really grounds me, reading every single day, spending time with like the people that really pour into me. These are all the things that allow me to show up as my best self. And that's half the battle, like knowing what it is that you need to be that version of yourself. And it's not to say the work is done. The work is never done. I'm always going to be doing it. One thing that kind of naturally happens, or at least has happened for me, the older that I've gotten, I've become quite jaded, which may sound silly because I'm only 22. I haven't been dating for that long. I've only been dating since I was 17. I don't know how people date for 10, 15, 20 years before they find a partner. Like, I'm already exhausted. I'm already exhausted, and I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface. How do I look? But today is about me going to the Museum of Natural Science by myself, and I'm gonna walk through the special exhibit they have right now. It's called Body Worlds, Body Works Worlds, Bath and Body Works. I bought myself a flower because I'm that bitch. And you are too. Let's go. This is already way too chaotic. So it is now August 11th, which is a few days after I filmed the first half of this video. I ended up spending some time with some friends later that day, and the whole like taking myself on a date thing just got interrupted. But there were some more thoughts that I had that I wanted to share with you all. I think especially like as a young woman, a young femme, going out on dates, as someone who dates, you know, men in addition to like other folks, it's particularly scary going on dates with men because you just never know what people's intentions are. And I have a whole video where I talk about how to be safe while you're dating online, and I'll link that up here if y'all wanna look at that. I definitely feel myself being extremely guarded when I'm dating men. And I went on a date a few months ago with this guy. I remember we went to this like outdoor beer garden, and we went to go get drinks up at the bar, and the way the bar was situated, it's like the bar is here and then the bathroom was right across from it, right? So we were going to get drinks, and while we were up there, I said to him, oh, like I'm gonna go to the restroom quickly, but the drinks had just come out. So he was basically planning to grab the drinks and walk them back to where we were sitting. But there's no way I was gonna let him like take my drink without me being able to supervise it, because he could very easily like slip something into it, right? So I asked the bartender to like watch my drink while I was in the bathroom, and then I grabbed it when I came out myself so that I knew that, you know, nothing was being done to it. Stuff like that. It kind of sucks to have to move through the world afraid that people have ill intent for you. And I think dating is a very particular kind of scenario. Like in general, I like to assume the best in people and give people the benefit of the doubt. But I think part of what it means to grow up is to realize that not everyone cares about you. Not everyone has the best intentions for you. And you have to find a balance of being self-protective without allowing that to steal your joy or to lose your faith in people. I think I've always really envied people who have that like fun, light, childlike energy to them. I definitely have people like that in my life, and I've always envied it because I feel like even at only 22, like I feel so old in a way and like mature, and kind of what a lot of like people of color hear growing up, the whole narrative of like, oh, she's wise beyond her years. I've been hearing people say that about me since I was, you know, 8 years old or something. I think that's sort of in some ways like bled into my dating life, where things just become heavy. And I think something that I'm really working to curate moving forward is that lightness, that jovial energy. It takes conscientious effort to be unencumbered, and I think it's really important that we all work to, like, as pretentious as it sounds, like unlock the inner child and connect with the inner child as much as possible, even though that's sort of antithetical to what we might think it means to get older or to age or to become more burdened by the woes of the world. Also, can we talk about dating apps? Because especially with these new variants coming out, it really seems like dating apps are going to become the apparatus that everyone's using to connect once again, or to continue to connect. And as amazing as it is to have that tool at our disposal, I have to be honest, like, I definitely have my qualms with dating apps. I think the whole concept of it is just really, really dehumanizing. I mean, you're literally swiping through all these people, you're making snap decisions, which we know are totally influenced by our own biases. One, because biases are inherent in everything, right? It kind of makes me think about a conversation that I had with my grandpa a couple of months back, where we were talking about decision fatigue and the difference between the decisions that his generation was making versus the decisions that my generation has to make. In his generation, so we're going back 2 generations, there were just much more limited options, right? Like, there was still a lot of segregation happening in places. There wasn't the same kind of mobility. There wasn't the same kind of globality. There wasn't the same degree of travel as there is today. And the internet wasn't a thing. The digital age hadn't started yet. I think they didn't get TVs until the 60s, right? So the kinds of decisions that they were making were much more parochial, simply because their world was just more local. But for us, because we're so connected and there's just so much happening in our world, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because it's like there are infinite possibilities in regards to dating, in regards to anything really. But also then you have to decide between those infinite possibilities, and there's this sort of paralysis, like, what if I make the wrong decision? And I think with dating, it just becomes so, or I should say, it can become such a flippant process, or such a flippant kind of experience, because the whole thought is, well, if this doesn't work out, I can go on this app tonight and find someone else to hook up with, or I can go on this app and go on a date tomorrow and be set. And that's the truth of it, but it just makes things so precarious. And I don't know, I'd be lying to say that that doesn't create some anxiety for me. It can be really scary to think about how frivolous people's emotions are. And that also sort of makes me think about, long-term relationships and the changing of emotions over time. I remember I actually had a conversation about this with one of my exes, like kind of long after we had been together, and we were friends at this point. We were talking about it. And I was like, yeah, honestly, the idea of marriage frightens me, because first of all, divorce rates, I mean, you have a 50-50 chance of it working or it not working, okay? So that's already not the best odds, let's be real. And then on top of that, I think not everyone who stays in a marriage is necessarily happy, and people's emotions do change. Like, when you say I do, I think most people mean it. Most people don't go into a marriage or a long-term commitment like that with the intention to leave their partner or step out on their partner. But over time, those sentiments can change. Maybe resentments grow. Maybe just the smallest little thing that your partner does over and over and over again starts to drive you up the wall until you just can't even fathom being in their space anymore. And what happens if you fall out of love with someone? I know people say that love is a choice and you wake up every day and you choose to love someone. Intellectually, I understand that there are relationships in my life that will last a lifetime. So I know that it's possible to have sustained familial and platonic and friend relationships, but it's not guaranteed. And feelings are so transient, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. I feel like that's a whole different category of relationship. Obviously, I'm way too young to be thinking about marriage. I'm only 22. That's not something I would consider for at least many, many more years, if it's something I wanted to do at all, because frankly, like I said, that 50-50 chance does not sound too exciting to me. And don't even get me started on monogamy. I feel like that's a really important conversation that we don't talk about enough. I think a huge reason that a lot of marriages fail is because most people, or a lot of people who enter marriages, are not actually monogamous. But because monogamy is compulsory in a similar way to that heterosexuality is compulsory, there's never that moment for introspection and self-reflection. And so people cheat or there's infidelity. And it's not to say that's the only reason why. I know there are lots of reasons why these kinds of things happen. I think my most like feminist self would like to say that I'm capable of polyamory or that I'm capable of sharing a partner. I don't think that's my portion, if I'm being honest with you. I think I am a monogamist at heart. Like once I find someone that I really want to spend my time with, I'm not really interested in pursuing something with anyone else. In conclusion, dating is challenging. Well, friends, thank you for hanging out with me in this very chaotic video. I think that's all. This is kind of like a chatty, rambly video. I know some of you like these, so hopefully you enjoyed your time with me tonight. And I'm going to edit this video now until the weeer hours of the morning. So it's already the wee hours of the morning, but we're progressing towards weeer. Weest. All right, y'all. Bye. So I had to learn how to entertain myself because otherwise I would have just been bored in the house and in the house, bored in the house and in the house. Hello. Bored in the house and in the house bored, you know what I mean? I'm gonna head out to the museum. So sorry if the audio quality isn't as good, but I'll probably just put music over the clips anyways, because I can't talk in the museum. Oh.